Good evening and welcome to the first of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our Board of Sanitation meeting for Monday, August the 3rd, 2015. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Ed Bell.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You have been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, July the 20th, 2015. The floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
I have none this evening.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, you have been presented 4 pages of wastewater claims in the amount of $111,499.63. Floor is open for questions or comments.
And I have none. Thank you.
Have none.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the wastewater claims dated August 3rd, 2015, in the amount of $111,499.63.
I'll make said motion.
Can I say, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And Ed seconds. All those in
Yeah.
favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We have unfinished business carried over from the previous meetings. An update on the South 5th Street sewer backups from our city attorney, and I'll defer to him at this time.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As I think the board was advised, the mayor and I met with some of the neighbors in the area from the event that we discussed in detail at the last meeting. I think Ms. Brown even talked about her damages on her property. And what I directed the people who wanted to submit claims is I gave my email and asked them to submit invoices and the nature of their claims. And three people have done that. And I'll talk to you in detail about what my recommendation would be to the board on what gets compensated and what doesn't. As a general matter, some people have submitted claims for personal labor. I'm afraid if we get into submitting claims for personal labor, we're going to bankrupt the utility because everybody's going to start submitting claims every time they get a backup. So my recommendation as a general rule would be to deny those claims. People have submitted claims for personal property. There's some folks submitted claims for like furniture, clothing. There was a treadmill, a variety of stuff. Again, I'm afraid if we start getting into compensating people for their personal property, we're going to have the same problem. Let me talk about the 3, and I think I put together a sheet here of what my recommendations would be as far as what gets compensated. Mr. Newfer had submitted claims. You can see what they are. The first one's pumps, pipes, fittings for $293.31. The next one is a labor claim for $1,200, and he had calculated that for me based on the time that he and his neighbor, and I think his wife, had spent. And then there's various personal items, stuffed animals, clothing, and those types of things. Based on what Mr. Newfer has provided, and if he wants to provide clarification, that's fine. But I think he should be compensated for the $293 and or $295.31, which would be for the cleanup. But again, I'm afraid if we start getting into personal labor and personal property, we're going to run into a problem. So that's my recommendation for Mr. Newfer. The Browns are the ones who suffered the most damage. They submitted some pictures of their property or their basement. They had substantial damage. I think she talked to you at the last meeting about that. I won't go through all these, but they've submitted invoices, and with a couple, there's estimates, and I'll tell you why I think we should handle the estimates. But essentially, I've got copies of these. If you look, I think that amounts to $10,360. Based on what they've They also submitted claims, by the way, for personal property, a lot of it. There were 2 pages of things that they wanted. They closed, there was a treadmill, there was a box spring, furniture. I think everything in their basement, they had 3 feet of sewage in their basement. Everything was destroyed. Again, I know that this is not what they want to hear, but I think they accepted it when I met with them last week, that we probably, at least my recommendation would be, is that we not pay for these, for personal property claims. The third one is Ms. Klinge. Again, here's the things that she submitted invoices to me where she's paid for. There's a second round of invoices that she has submitted. I still haven't got her phone number to talk to her in person. We've corresponded by email. I had not heard back from her from an email I sent her back on Thursday. The invoices that she has submitted, my recommendation would be to pay those. She's provided proof that she's obtained these items. There's a second round that I'm not comfortable without speaking to her to find out exactly what the nature of these claims are. They're receipts. She's circled some things. I don't know what the codes are at Walmart or Lowe's. So I think we take those under advisement. I would be happy to meet with her in person or talk to her on the phone, but with regard to the second round of receipts she submitted me, I just need more information before I can make a recommendation. So my recommendation would be to pay the $440.21. Any questions for me?
Board have questions for legal?
One thing I would want these folks to do is sign a release. Before any check is issued to them, they're going to have to sign a release saying they've released all claims against the city before we pay them. And it's not going to be anything. It's something we've prepared in the past for other things. So it's about a 1-page document. There's nothing exotic in it. It's just in exchange for us paying them, that they release any claims they may or may not have against the city. So.
Yeah, Craig, on the Browns,
Yes.
I don't see any labor except for like commercial cleanup.
Right.
Is this just materials only we're
Yes.
talking about?
Right. They didn't. The Browns did not submit a claim for personal labor. Based on, they had a commercial cleanup come in because of the damage they had. It was something that I don't think anybody without the type of expertise could come in and clean. So, based on that, I thought that was justified. But they did not submit any claim for personal labor.
Board have any other questions or comments?
I've got a couple questions. As of today, I received 2 more denials from the insurance company on claims. I've probably seen maybe a half a dozen so far. I guess my question is, why is the city taking responsibility on this when our own insurance company denies that we were at any fault?
Well, I thought we talked about that the last meeting. I felt that the city was negligent because they did not maintain the line behind their house and there was tree roots in it. If we would have maintained the line properly, that wouldn't have happened. So that's why I brought it forward.
And my other question would be, is where do you plan on getting these funds from to pay these claims?
From the sewage works.
We don't have anything budgeted for that.
We'll pay it out of sewage works.
Well, I mean, I think that's a little easier said than done.
Any other questions, comments?
No, I mean that's.
I'm not prepared to move on this evening. I do want to take it under advisement because we just got this about 10 minutes ago. So I'll ask a motion to table this until the next meeting.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We will table this until the meeting on August 17th, 6 p.m. Thank you. There is no new business this evening. No carried over from previous meeting. Comments for board members?
I have none.
I have
Thank
none.
you.
No comments. Ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:11 PM. We will convene Board of Public Works and Safety in 5 minutes. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the second of 3 meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Monday, August the 3rd, 2015. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each member to introduce themselves individually. Ed?
Ed Bell?
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You have been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, July the 20th, 2015. Floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
Make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. This evening, Board, you have 27 pages of claims in the amount of $603,947.32. The floor is open for questions or comments.
And I have none.
I have none this evening.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for motion to approve the corporate claims dated August the 3rd, 2015, in the amount of $603,947.32.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. Under unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting, bid award the remount of the ambulance chassis. Chief?
Mayor and Board, I come before you today recommend to accept the specification bid received from Donnelly Safety for the remount chassis of our 2000 Horton ambulance. This bid meets our printed specifications. The bid specification cost will be $128,835.
Thank you, Chief. Floor is open for questions or comments from board members.
I have none.
I have none.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the chief's request to allow Donnelly Safety to remount the chassis of the 2000 Horton ambulance.
Make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. I do have a signature page for the board to sign after this meeting.
Go ahead and approach us, please.
Require everyone's signature or just one signature for the board?
We'd have to look at it.
I'll correct if you want to look at it. Donnelly's just had to place from one signature for the board. I spoke to Mike Smith. If there's an issue, I can come back with another
Okay.
page to you, but I'll give this to you to look over.
Are these copies, Mike?
Those are the originals that have a copy for the city also. That's a copy for us.
Okay.
What is the, can you advise the board on the time frame?
About 8 to 10 weeks.
And when are you going to start on it?
Well, if you approve, since you approved it, bring it over and get it set down and take it to the body shop. And then after I get the body back from being repainted, I can give you a better estimate on the time. We'll order all the parts and all the lead time at that point.
Okay. You all sign ours. Yeah. Okay, here, Chief.
Ooh, Mike's signature on it.
Beg your pardon?
Donnelly's safety signature on it also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on ours, it'd be nice, yeah, so that way we don't have to get it back.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
That concludes unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting. Under new business, we have a couple of items. First is the quote opening for sewer lining project, and I'll defer to Brent for a brief explanation on what we want to do here.
Thank you and good evening. We requested quotes from 3 different contractors, Lane and Situform, and also Miller Pipeline, for the rehabilitation of several sewers located throughout the city. And we requested those quotes be due this evening by 6 p.m. It's set up into a base and an add alternate quote scenario where if the quotes come in combined less than $150,000, and the board may consider awarding both. If that is not the case, then our hope is that at least the base quote will come in under $150,000. After opening, we will take those under review and at the next Board of Works meeting, provide an evaluation of those quotes.
All right, thank you, Brent. At this time, I'll ask our board member Sandy to open the quotes, please. We received 2 quotes, Lane and Miller Pipeline.
And the first sealed bid is Lane. The total unit price quote is $183,000. There's another quote on here. Do you want that as well, Brent?
I don't think you.
You don't need that one.
What is the other quote?
Is a unit price quote mandatory additional alternate quote?
We'll want the base quote and then the add alternate quote.
Okay, so I guess the base would, yeah, okay, the base quote is 183,000. And the alternate quote is 36,405.
Okay?
This is a sealed bid from Miller. And Miller's base quote is $110,565. And the alternate quote is $24,930.
All right, could you approach and take those, Brent?
Maybe. You're welcome.
Board, what we'll do is take them under advisement, and at the next meeting, we'll get a recommendation from Brent on how to proceed.
Yes, we will come prepared at the next board meeting with a summary of our evaluation as well as a notice of award document that can be executed by the board expressing their intent to the contractor to proceed with the construction contract.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brent. Resolution number 7 is a resolution concerning the purchase of a bus for the senior center. And I'll defer to Dan. Can you give us an explanation on it?
Yes, actually what this is the Crossroads Bank is the bank that is giving us the money for the bus for a 5-year lease. And this resolution has to be approved before they will release any finances. So that's basically what it is. Craig, you've talked to them, you might
Yeah, I mean,
add something.
that's exactly right. I did notice on the proposed ordinance, this should say the board, because I think there was an issue about who should approve it, should be the Board of Works for the city of Beech Grove.
Okay.
You see that right there?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. What I would like to do is to waive the rules and read this resolution by title only due to its length. So I'll ask for a motion to do that.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And I'll have the clerk read Resolution 7, 2015 by title only, please.
Resolution number 7, 2015 is a resolution of the City of Beech Grove authorizing the execution and delivery of a master equipment lease purchase agreement and separate lease schedules and certificates of acceptance with respect to the acquisition, purchase, financing, and leasing of certain equipment for the public benefit, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents required in connection therewith, and authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transactions contemplated by this resolution.
Thank you. Resolution number 7, 2015 is up for approval. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. If everyone could please sign the document. That you? Or is that you?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have one more order of new business, and it's a master vendor's license for Holy Name. I'll defer to the clerk for explanation.
Okay, this is standard. They did this again last year. Ordinarily, this is for Holy Names Oktoberfest. Ordinarily, by being a not-for-profit, they wouldn't have to do this. The reason why this comes into play is because we block off 16th Street, and so then at that point, the city has some liability. So everything's in order. The police chief approved it, and I have no issue with it.
Questions or comments for board members?
I have none.
I have none.
Now I'll ask for a motion to approve the master vendor request for Holy Name Catholic Church.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. That concludes new business. Comments from council members?
I have none this evening.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:29 PM. We will convene again in these chambers on Monday, August 17th at 6 PM. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the third and final meeting tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our city council meeting for Monday, August the 3rd, 2015. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Mobley, City Councilman at Large.
John Jennings, District 4.
Dave Harrison, District 5.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Anthony Davidson, District 3.
Ed Bell, District 2, and Kathy Coates tonight will not be here, excused. Thank you.
Hi, Mary Huser Stewart, District 1.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a couple special presentations this evening. The first one is from Sean Northrop from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Planning Organization. Sean, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Sean Northup, as he said. I work for an organization called the Metropolitan Planning Organization. In federal statute, when you spend federal transportation dollars in a large urbanized area that's larger than 50,000 people, you have to have a locally run planning process to figure out how to spend those funds so that so that state departments of transportation aren't the ones that are making decisions. It's local elected officials. So we're the regional organization, the regional transportation planning body. We're charged with spending roughly $55 million a year in federal transportation funds on local projects. It was our funds that funded the streetscape improvements right out here. We have another call for projects coming up in October. Every single year, we call for projects in 5 funding categories. And then our board, which is 36 members, it's every city, town, and county in the region, makes decisions about which projects to fund. So that's kind of the background on who the MPO is. What I'm here to talk to you about is the Indy Connect plan broadly, which is a transit plan for the region, and the red line more specifically. So Indy Connect is the name of this planning document, and I put a few of these one-page folders. It's an illustrative map on the back. If anybody wants to grab, I think I had 10 extra ones. All the members, I believe, have one. This is the name of the regional transit plan. Central Indiana underinvests in our transit compared to peers, 30 cents on the dollar compared to peers. We're talking Columbus, Louisville, Cincinnati, in some cases 40 cents on the dollar. So this is a look that was started in 2009 and 2010 by the business community in downtown Indianapolis that was saying we're having trouble attracting businesses because of a lack of transit. We're having trouble attracting a younger workforce. So they were really focused on how to become more economically competitive. They were blown away by the return on investment of this plan, of an earlier version of this plan, which came in at almost 12% internal rate of return, and there's no dedicated funding for transit in our region. So since then, we've had several hundred public meetings, received several thousands of comments, been through 6 years of planning work now, and the plan that you have in front of you is kind of the broad framework plan of what's in the Indy Connect plan. It would vastly expand local bus service on the Indigo system. It would add local bus service in Hamilton County for the first time and a little bit more in northern Johnson County. And it would create 5 rapid transit lines. What you see on the map in front of you, the red line goes basically Westfield, Carmel, down into Indianapolis through Broad Ripple, downtown Indianapolis, Fountain Square, U-Indy, and then down onto Greenwood. The orange line is the one that runs, it's a crosstown on Keystone Avenue that from the north comes down Carmel, past Keystone at the crossing through the east side, and then comes over to Beech Grove and then connects at U-Indy. The blue line runs east-west on Washington Street, and the purple line would be a connector to 38th Street. And those are all bus lines. Those would be running every 10 minutes for 20 hours a day. Very high capacity. It's what's called bus rapid transit, which is the state of the art in transit. The green line is a little bit different than the others. The others are all within the curb on streets. The green line is the old Hoosier Heritage Port Authority line. It comes with its own set of benefits and challenges. It goes to the most populated and fastest growing part of the region. But because it's derelict old railroad tracks, it has kind of its own issue. So this full Indy Connect plan needs a dedicated funding source for it to happen, and that's going to be a conversation at the city-county council level in 2016 of whether to hold a countywide referendum in November of 2016 to fund this plan. It would be for a 1/4-cent income tax in 2016. So that conversation is going to be teed up to happen probably between January and May of 2016 at the city-county level. Now, prior to that, that's the full Indy Connect planning side of that. Prior to that, phase 1 of the red line, which is right in the center of the map, Indigo has decided to pursue using their own kind of funds, using some city funds to match, but as a priority project to get a rapid transit line in the region, regardless of what happens with a referendum, because it's what they need to do, frankly, to start moving people a little more effectively. And so the red line that they're pursuing right now is from Broad Ripple to the University of Indianapolis. I'll describe the route very briefly. Just heading south from Broad Ripple, it's on College Avenue. It jogs to Meridian at 38th Street, and then we'll run on Meridian Street to 18th, where it goes to Capitol, which is where the Methodist Hospital is spending $1 billion on their new hospital. And then south on Capitol into downtown, where it takes the Maryland-Illinois couplet over to Virginia Avenue, and then south, it'll go past the new downtown transit center, then south through Fountain Square, and then south on Shelby Street to the University of Indianapolis. The funding for that is coming from the Federal Transit Administration. It's called a Small Starts Grant. That application is due in about a month, in September, so they're very, very busy collecting input and finalizing costs so that they can get that funding application in September. We'll find out whether the red line has made the president's budget in sometime mid-2016. If it's funded, construction starts in 2017, and the red line opens in 2018. I wanted to update you on basically what's happening with the red line and what's happening with Indy Connect and the referendum. You'll see this plan on the Indy Connect side of it become much, much more refined towards the end of this year so that it can inform a broader public discussion about whether a referendum and an income tax is something that we want to do as a community or not. We'll lay out both sides of that conversation as well as we can leading up to that point. Are there any questions?
No, sir.
I have one. I was curious, you were saying construction, like on the red line, but isn't it going down the same streets that we have now? So what type of construction would you be talking about?
So when I say the red line is bus rapid transit, the whole idea of bus rapid transit is that it's built to mimic rail on rubber tires. So you've got platforms that are raised 15 inches off the ground so that there's level boarding into the vehicle. So the vehicle pulls up, it's a 60-foot long bus, which is one of the articulated ones with the bendy middle, pulls up, doors open, people off, people on. It's level and there's no gap. There's a very minimal gap, so you can roll a stroller or a wheelchair or a bike on and off of the platform. There's ticket machines on the platform, so you pay off-site. You pay before, you don't wait to pay on the bus at the front end. You can go in all the doors and you've paid at the platform already. There's a canopy that kind of covers it. And then there's screens. There's real-time screens that tell you when the next bus is coming. Like I said, roughly every 10 minutes for 20 hours a day. North of downtown Indianapolis, so on Capitol, Meridian, and College Avenue, it's going to have dedicated lanes. So on Capitol Avenue, it's going to have 2 lanes that are dedicated to bus travel on the west side of Capitol. On Meridian, it'll take the 2 center lanes for bus travel, and then on College, it'll have a single reversible center lane in the middle. And so a lot of what we're looking at right now are traffic impacts. The question is whether there's going to be traffic impacts. We think on Meridian and on College, it's an improvement to traffic flow. On College right now, if you're in the right lane, you stop behind the bus. And if you're in the left lane, you stop for all left turners. There's no left turn lane on northbound College. Southbound College is only 1 lane today anyways. This will change that. This will add left turn lanes, and it'll add right turn lanes, and it'll add the center bus. So there's actually room for a left turn stack. You won't get stuck behind left turners anymore. And then on Meridian Street, it's the same thing. The right lane gets stuck behind the bus, and then left lane gets stuck at left turns. This will rectify that. There will be left turn stacking at Meridian Street. So that's the kind of stuff we're looking at right now, but it's the whole idea is to mimic light rail as much as possible.
Okay, well, thank you.
list.
Did you want to talk about the updated bike pass and the rail, updated rail, freight rail?
Right. So we are working on a regional freight rail plan, or freight, not freight rail, but a regional freight plan. It's mostly trucking in this region for when we talk about freight, but it includes freight rail as well. We have a committee that's working on that. I would definitely invite Beech Grove to be involved. Mayor, do you sit on that subcommittee? Yes. I'm glad to hear that. That plan, we're working very closely with an industry group, a trucking industry group called Connexus, and the State Department of Transportation, who just completed their statewide freight plan. What that plan basically will do will set our funding priorities to help move goods better. So this plan is all about moving people. The freight plan is all about moving goods and natural resources through the region as efficiently as possible. We have a big competitive advantage in central Indiana at moving freight, as you guys know. Chicago has huge backups, and those backups are starting to affect us more and more when it comes to moving freight. So this is a big deal. We're expecting to see truck traffic go up by about 30% in the next 20 years, and that can really congest highways. It's a very important piece of transportation planning heading forward. The other plan, the regional bikeways plan, we're updating right now. We're coming up with a new method for when all of the 36 members or 36 member communities apply for funding. We're coming up with a new method of evaluating projects against one another so that we're funding the best projects, the ones that have the most impact and the most number of people or the most economic development impact. We have a committee that's working on that, and we're going to come back to our full policy board in August, October, and December, where they have opportunities to weigh in on that proposal and see what the effects of that would actually be and adopt it or not. We can come back down anytime and talk very specifically about if any of those things touch Beech Grove, specifically what that means.
I was going to ask you if this legislative body would have to adopt down the road the red line plan.
No, because it's at the county level, because the state statute did everything at the county fiscal body level, so it's city, county, council. If it's something that you'd be interested in, we are setting up letters of support for the federal grant when it goes in. Because the red line doesn't go through Beech Grove, I probably wouldn't have thought to ask right away. But because the orange line does, then there's a lot of that. You support ours, we'll support yours kind of thing. So if that's something you're interested in, that's definitely something Indigo would be open to as well. There's also an Indigo planning process that's going on right now called Indigo Forward, which basically gives the local bus plan for what's going to happen for the next 5 years. And it has, with all these moving pieces, with referendums and the red line, they have to do a lot of scenarios. So it'd be very hard to present what they've come up with. It's a whole range of scenarios based on what funding levels will look like. But there are certainly implications for Beech Grove in what happens with the current Indigo system. None of those systems show a decline in service, with the exception of if they were pushed to make a movement toward more ridership and no new funding. So in one of the scenarios, there's basically less service for everybody. But that's probably the least likely scenario to happen.
This, can we go through some of the projects that the MPO has funded for the city of Beech Grove? I know you mentioned the Main Street project, but the Safe Routes to School, the sign inventory, and the Churchman Avenue sidewalk programs. Those are all
Right.
projects that have been funded by the Indianapolis MPO. And
And most of those, so we have 5 pots of funding. The health safety improvement plan funding is very difficult to spend, and I believe we've got one of those in Beech Grove. One of the ones that you listed was a health safety plan, so kudos for being able to pull that one off. The other projects that you all mentioned all came under a pot of funding called Transportation Alternatives Program, which is one of our 5 pots. That one has had extreme downward pressure from Washington, and they're working on a transportation reauthorization bill right now, and I believe that one is cut even lower. We have, of our $55 million a year, we get about 2.5 of it for sidewalks and facades and streetscapes and signs and trails, about $2.5 million a year, and Beech Grove has been fairly successful in procuring some of those funds.
We meet on Wednesday, and I don't know what the agenda holds, but the MPO is going to be out here Thursday. And I don't know if you're coming or not, but Anna's coming along with Kristen McCampbell
Yep, Kristen Campbell, yep,
to talk about funding some other projects for us.
right.
So they've been a good friend to the city of Beech Grove for a long time, and I appreciate what they've done for us. Council have questions for Sean? If not, Sean, I'll see you Wednesday, eh?
See you Wednesday. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all.
Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
very much.
Next, Quality of Life Plan as part of IDEM's Clean Community Challenge. Mary?
Hello. I was here at your last council meeting, and the mission statement was adopted, and we talked about the Clean Community Challenge Quality of Life Plan. And just to report that the Quality of Life Plan is complete, and the application has been submitted to IDEM. And IDEM will now just be finalizing the application and then submitting it to the IDEM commissioner to get Beech Grove into the Clean Community Challenge. And so, did the Quality of Life Plan get distributed? Okay, good. So you all had a copy of the Quality of Life Plan. I just wanted to highlight a few things that there was a stakeholder committee that was put together, representatives from police and fire, public works, parks department. We also had a local resident who was very involved and gave some good input, as well as the mayor, and then Westler Engineering helped to serve on that committee. We did establish some environmental goals, which are included in the Quality of Life Plan, and I'm just going to summarize those real quickly. Talked about them last time. There's 5 goals, 5 projects that are to be implemented over a 4-year period, and that could start as soon as as IDEM formally accepts Beech Grove into the program. But we have no reason to believe that they're not going to accept us. We've been working closely with IDEM and making sure that everything is the way that they want it before we would have even applied. So those 5 projects are to increase recycling through the curbside recycling, increase that participation, to increase native flora. So the plants and the trees that would be native to Indiana are going to be increased through yearly projects. The recycling of fluorescent bulbs, so the bulbs that are used within the buildings on the municipal properties will be handled and recycled properly. A collection of unwanted medication and expired medication in cooperation with the police department. That's a really great service, and it prevents those medications from being flushed down the toilet or ending up in the landfill. They're going to be handled properly. And then the last one is increasing paper recycling through the paper shredding program. So the document shredding program that's been initiated, we're going to work to increase that, to increase the amount of recycling that's being done. Because the company that does that shredding does recycle the paper after they shred it. Okay? So if there are any questions, I was here to report that the Quality of Life Plan is finished, and the city's ready to move forward with it as soon as IDEM gives the thumbs up. And anything specific that you wanted me to cover or questions?
No, I just wanted you to update the council on the progress.
Good.
Council members have questions for Clean Challenge?
All right.
All right. Mary, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very informative.
Next, Mayor Ballard's liaison. Kelly? Very good to see you this evening.
Thanks for having me. I don't have too much for you tonight. The Keep Indianapolis Beautiful, which I know you guys are quite familiar with, they are having Indy's first outdoor interactive library. It's going to be Saturday, August 15th. It sounds like a really neat program. It's from 10 to 2. It's a bike ride that is going to kick off at their Fountain Square headquarters, KIB's headquarters. It's $20 to register, and if you pre-register, you get a T-shirt for that money. But basically, you're going to get like a library punch card, and you ride around town. It advises that you plan your route ahead of time based on what your interests are. So there's going to be stops related to science and nature, music, children's literature, history. And at some of those stops, you'll actually be able to interact with a resident historian or to learn about the area, and it's to highlight some of the pocket parks and green spaces that KIB has been able to put in the city. So again, that's August 15th from 10 to 2. And then we've already discussed before the Blue Indy electric car sharing program, and they're seeking locations outside of Center Township. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, I already told you can go to their website at www.blue-indy.com, and you can fill out the survey saying that you'd like to have Beech Grove be a site. But they are also hiring right now, so if you have interest in that or serving with Blue Indy, you can contact them. And then I wanted to remind you National Night Out is tomorrow, and I'm not sure, I haven't looked at the list yet today to see if you guys have a event going on or not, but I'm going to try and make as many of those as I can. So several groups, several neighborhoods, a lot of new neighborhoods this year are participating. We have things ranging from the street being closed off and, a big cookout to an ice cream social. IMPD plans to attend as many of those and send their officers to those as they can. And then I know the stormwater rate adjustment does not affect Beech Grove, but I'm sure that you have friends that it does affect, and I wanted to make you aware that our website went live today where people can see what their adjustment is going to be. So if you have people talking about it, it's indy.gov/stormwater, and that's where people can go to find out what the adjustment's going to mean to them. So that was all I had for you guys. What do you have for me?
What is the ERU now?
I'm sorry, what is the what?
What is it right now?
So residential, prior to the adjustment that is taking place July 1st or whatever, everyone paid $2.25 a month. And you just paid it semi-annually, though, because it's part of your property tax bill, right? That was based on an average square footage of impervious surface of 2,500 square feet per parcel. They've actually used aerial photography and measured everyone's parcel. They've counted gravel driveways, decks, patios, if you have a pole barn. If you have a swimming pool, they count all the decking around it, but not the water itself, right? So they've calculated what your actual impervious surface area is now. The average is coming in closer to 3,800 square feet per parcel, and the rate is $1.10 per 1,000 square feet. So if you're in between 1,000 and 2,000, you're paying that $1.10. If you're over 2,000, you're paying $2.20. That is per month. And then, like I said, it's paid semi-annually. So I've already met with a lot of people at the Franklin Road Library today. Several people in my area, their rates seem to have gone up as opposed to stayed the same or gone down. There is a process where if you think they've miscalculated your square footage, there's a number to call for the Department of Public Works. Well, they will look at that and they'll revisit the aerial photography that they did, and if they need, they will make a site visit. But they are willing to work with people on that if there's been an error to get that corrected. So
I was reading like $3.30 would be kind of close.
correct. There is some, I'm getting more information, so I have several agricultural properties in my area, and those were not at the residential rate of the $2.25 before. I'm not exactly sure what they were, but several of those, I met with some of those people today, theirs have gone up as well because they have big barns. They have gravel driveways that go way back onto their property where their home is and then further back to, where their barn is and stuff. So it's a little complicated for some of those people.
But if you live in Greenwood or Franklin or Shelbyville, I don't know what Shelbyville is, but Franklin and Greenwood is like $5 or $6 per ERU.
Right, and the point of the rate adjustment, we have over $300 million worth of already identified stormwater improvements that need to happen for our failing infrastructure, and especially in the Franklin Township, Perry Township area. I mean, that's why everybody calls me, is for drainage issues and flooding, and so we're hoping that we can get some of these things taken care of with this rate adjustment. Thank you.
Questions?
I have a comment
Yes.
about the bike ride.
Yes,
I can't get from my house to your bike ride on a sidewalk.
I'm hoping that you guys will do some more of the safe routes to schools thing and get me some more sidewalks and bike trails out here. That is
I'd
true.
love to, but from Beech Grove, you can't get out of Beech Grove safely.
I
Not a
understand.
bike lane or a sidewalk.
You have to drive your car with your
To
bike
Fountain-
rack
to
on
Fountain
it to
Square
Fountain
and
Square
unload
and
my
then
bike.
get off.
It's
So
tough- It's tough with 5 bikes.
I understand. I have 6, so I'm in the same boat. I know. It's something that I'm very much advocating for. As the guy from the MPO just mentioned, $2.5 million out of the 55 million is all that they get to, because I have some other areas that are applying for some safe route to school stuff. And believe it or not, that doesn't get you as much sidewalk or bike lane as you would like. So,
Not much.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Council, you have been presented the minutes of the previous meeting dated July 6th. Floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections. If there's no questions, comments, or corrections, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Under public comments this evening, I'll defer to city legal.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 people have signed up to speak. Mac, I think you're going to speak on ordinance number 20. So the other one is Carla Richardson. That's it.
Is there anybody else who didn't sign up who decided they would like to speak? If not, we'll move to committee reports. The Greenscape Committee, Redevelopment Commission, and Compliance are on file. Was there anything from Public Safety, Chief? Okay. Financial report.
Good evening, councilors. The month of July, we had several bond payments due. They are as follows. The 2012 Gold Bond, $108,768.75. The 2013 Fire Vehicle Lease Purchase, $13,656.95. 2013 Police Vehicle Lease Purchase, $13,354.60. 2005 RDC TIP Bonds, $138,720. 2007 RDC TIP Bond, $144,131.25. We completed the liens from the spring special collection, so we are up to date. As you may recall, when I took office in 2012, they were backed up to 2009. We have since brought them current and continue to keep them current. Today I met with Unified and Christian Duncan for our 6-month health insurance review. I also completed a review of the appropriations and budgets for the first 6 months of 2015. Everything looks real good, including salaries. The fire department had extra in their salaries, so they added a new firefighter who I believe was scheduled to start the classes today. The police department have approximately $25,000 extra in their salary budget. Of course, it will be up to Mayor Buckley and Chief Swartz, but money is available to start a new police officer with the next class if they would choose to do so. The month of July has been busy with preparation of the budget. Judge Wells has turned in his budget, and there will be a budget meeting with Mayor Buckley and department heads on Thursday. The Parks Department is working on their budget. Category 1 expenses are almost complete and will include a 2% raise for all full-time employees and an increase in insurance expenditures. The budget hearing is scheduled for Monday, September 14th at 7 p.m. The city website continues to grow and is a great asset to the citizens. Just a footnote, the website had 90,769 page views for the month of July. It is a valuable resource to many. Community events can be added free of charge by emailing me at dan.mcmillan@beechgrove.com. Thanks to the website volunteers who continue to keep it updated at no cost to the taxpayers. Financial reports, debt services, bank balances, and more can be found on the city website at www.beechgrove.com. The bank balances are listed below and will be on the website tomorrow. As always, if you have any questions, my door is always open. Thank you. Respectfully submitted, Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Questions or comments for the clerk? Derek, was there anything in compliance that was needed to be brought to the attention of the council? Okay. We'll move to unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting. General ordinance number 14, 2015 is up for second reading this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
Additional appropriation ordinance number 14, 2015. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget, now therefore be it ordained by the Beech Grove City Council of Beech Grove Civil City, Marion County, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purpose specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Fund name, Public Safety Lowit, P.S. Lowit. Personal Services, $33,229, amount requested. Amount approved by the fiscal body, $33,229. Capital outlays, $469,091, amount requested. Amount approved by fiscal body, $469,091. Total for P.S. Lowit Fund, $502,320 is the amount requested. Amount approved by fiscal body would be $502,320.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve additional appropriation ordinance number 14, 2015 on second reading only.
I'll make said motion, Mayor.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Additional appropriation ordinance number 14, 2015 is up for third and final reading this evening. This time I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
Additional appropriation ordinance number 14, 2015. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget, now therefore be it ordained by the Beech Grove City Council of Beech Grove Civil City, Marion County, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of these funds, named and for the purpose specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Fund name is Public Safety Lowit, P.S. Lowit. The Personal Services, amount requested $33,229, amount approved by fiscal body, $33,229. Capital outlays, amount requested $469,091, amount approved by fiscal body, $469,091. Total for P.S. Lowit Fund, $502,320, amount requested. Amount approved by fiscal body, $502,320.
Thank you. Additional appropriation ordinance number 14, 2015. Need a motion to approve on third and final reading, please.
Make said motion, Mayor.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please register your vote. General ordinance number 15, 2015 is up for second reading only. At this time, I'll ask for motion to waive the rules to read by title only.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. This time, I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record by title only, please.
General ordinance number 15, 2015 is an ordinance that amends Article 1 of the City of Beech Grove Personnel Manual pursuant to employee classifications.
Thank you. General ordinance number 15, 2015 is up for second approval for second reading. This time I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion, sir.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear this on third and final reading at the September meeting, September 8th meeting. Thank you. General Ordinance Number 16, 2015 is up for second reading. I'll defer to Counselor Davidson.
Thank you, Mayor. General Ordinance Number 16, 2015 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 78, Schedule IC of the Beech Grove Code of Ordinances. Whereas parking schedules are set by the Code of Ordinances, and whereas dead-end streets pose a challenge for residents leaving their driveway, and whereas vehicles parked across the street from a driveway at a dead end sometimes block the residents' ability to successfully exit their driveway. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 78, Schedule IC of the Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires that the following be added to Chapter 78, Schedule IC. Schedule I, parking prohibited at all times. C, other locations where parking is prohibited at all times are as follows. Street, Glengyle Avenue, between 20 feet north from dead end, side north. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend the Code of Ordinances pursuant to Chapter 78. Now therefore be it further ordained that this amendment shall only apply to the above-mentioned ordinance. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect immediately after passage by the Common Council, tested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. General Ordinance Number 16, 2015, up for second reading. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion, sir.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. The author of the ordinance has asked that the ordinance be heard on third and final reading this evening, so I will defer to the Counselor Davidson. Counselor?
Okay, General Ordinance Number 16, 2015 is ordinance that amends Chapter 78, Schedule IC of the Beech Grove Code of Ordinances. Whereas parking schedules are set by the Code of Ordinances, and whereas dead-end streets pose a challenge for residents leaving their driveway, and whereas vehicles parked across the street from a driveway at a dead end sometimes block the residents' ability to successfully exit their driveway. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 78, Schedule IC of the Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires that the following be added to Chapter 78, Schedule IC. Schedule I, parking prohibited at all times. C, other locations where parking is prohibited at all times are as follows. Street, Glengyle Avenue, between 20 feet north from dead end, side north. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend the Code of Ordinances pursuant to Chapter 78. Now therefore be it further ordained that this amendment shall only apply to the above-mentioned ordinance. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect immediately after passage of the Common Council, tested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. General Ordinance Number 16, 2015 is up for third and final reading this evening. This time I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please register your vote. General Ordinance Number 17, 2015 is up for second reading only this evening. At this time, I will defer to Counselor Davidson to introduce it on second reading.
All right. General Ordinance Number 17, 2015. General Ordinance Number 17, 2015 is an ordinance that amends the salary ordinance for the appointed employees for the budget year 2015. Whereas the chief of the Beech Grove Fire Department determines who supervises firefighters, and whereas the merit board and the fire chief determine who is promoted and receives position pay. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend the salary ordinance for 2015. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires that the following be amended into the salary ordinance for 2015. A, page 4, line 4, captain, change from 173.08 to 230.76. B, page 4, line 7, engineer, changed from 3846 to 7692. Now therefore be it ordained that this amendment shall only apply to the above-mentioned ordinance. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect immediately after passage by the Common Council, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. General ordinance number 17, 2015 is up for approval on second reading. At this time, I will ask for a motion to approve.
Make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear this on third and final reading at the September 8th meeting. That concludes old business for this evening. Under new business, we have 3 new ordinances to introduce this evening. General ordinance number 18, 2015 is up for first reading only. And at this time, I'll ask the clerk to read it into the record, please.
General ordinance number 18, 2015 is an ordinance that amends chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances for the city of Beech Grove pursuant to traffic schedules. Whereas traffic schedules have been posted in the current ordinance book, and whereas several established streets have been left off of the traffic schedule, and whereas the Code of Ordinance book is recommended to be updated to have all listed streets and to have consistent speed limits for every street, especially in residential neighborhoods, and whereas a couple of subdivisions have yet to be documented in the Code of Ordinances for speed limit documentation. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances concerning speed limits. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires the following amendments be made. Chapter 77, Schedule 4 speed limits. A, schedule, subsections 2 and 3 be deleted in its entirety and replaced with the following. Schedule 4 speed limits. A, schedule. No motor vehicles of any type shall be operated on the following streets in excess of the speed limits indicated herein. 2, motor vehicle speed on the following streets shall be limited to no faster than 20 miles per hour. Location: Andrea Court, Angela Court, Andrea Drive, Ada Lane, Ada Lade Street, Alton Street from Emerson to 13th Avenue, 17th Avenue to Tyson, Arcola Court, Ardmore, Ash Street, Ash Court, Bancroft, Beechwood Drive, Detroit Street, Beechwood Drive to 17th Avenue, 19th Avenue to 23rd Avenue, Bellefontaine Street, Emerson Avenue to 9th Avenue, Biloxi Drive, Birch Street, Bischoff Drive, Bob's Court, Briar Lane, Britton Drive, Buffalo Avenue from 13th Avenue to 19th, 3rd to 9th, Butler Avenue, Byland Street, 4th to 12th Avenue, Cashard Street, Cherry Drive, Chester Drive, Churchman Avenue, 12th Avenue West to 13th Avenue, Churchman Woods Boulevard, Clark, Cleveland, 13th West to Dead End Court, 9th to Bethel, Dangerfield, Edwards Drive, Edwards Court, Elm Street, Life Gateway, 8th Avenue, Fletcher Lane to Dead End on North 8th, 18th Avenue, Churchman Avenue to Southern Avenue, Fletcher Lane, 4th to 9th Avenue, 4th Avenue, Elm Street to Bethel Avenue, 14th Avenue, Main to Southern Avenue, 15th Avenue, Alley South of Main to Southern Avenue, Forest Rise Court, Forest Ridge Court, Forest Rise Lane, Jerry Drive, Jerry Court, Gilbert Drive, Grove Tree Court, Grove Tree Lane, Grovewood Place, Grovewood Drive, Heifer Court, Killian Drive, Lynette Court, Main Street, Emerson to 8th Avenue, Mann Drive, Melody Court, Memorial Drive, 19th Avenue from Churchman North to Southern Avenue, North Bend Road, Newcomer Lane, Oakmont Court, Park Emerson Drive, Parkway, Redfern Drive, North 9th Avenue East to Ardmore Street, Rodney Court, Royal Road, St. Francis, St. John's Court South, Shaft Street, 16th Avenue, Dead End, south on Main to Southern Avenue, Spencer Street, 2nd Avenue, Churchman Avenue to Bethel Avenue, 3rd Avenue, Churchman Avenue to Bethel Avenue, Tyson Court, Tyson Street, 6th Avenue, Bethel to Ash, 7th Avenue from Churchman Avenue to Bethel Avenue, 9th Avenue, Churchman Avenue north to Cleveland, 10th Avenue, Byland to Southern, 11th Avenue, Byland to Southern, 13th Avenue, Churchman North to Alton, 18th Avenue, Main to Southern, Timber Grove Place, Timber Grove Drive, 12th Avenue, Byland to Bethel, 20th Avenue from Churchman to Southern, 21st Avenue, Churchman to Southern, 24th Avenue, Churchman to Southern, 23rd Avenue, Churchman to Southern, Stave Oak Drive, Stave Oak Court, Smoke Tree Drive, Wally Court, Whitewood Court, Woodmont Court, Yazoo Drive. Beech Grove traffic schedules. 3, motor vehicle speed on the following streets shall be limited to no faster than 25 miles per hour. Location, Big 4 Road, Cincinnati to Arlington Avenue, Charnwood Parkway, Churchman Avenue between Emerson and Ritter, Churchman Avenue, Emerson Avenue west to 12th Avenue, Cincinnati, Garstang Street to Big 4 Road, Classen Lane, Danver Lane, 5th Avenue from Churchman to Bethel, Garstang from Emerson to Cincinnati Street, Hornet Avenue, Emerson Avenue to High School, Main Street, 25th Avenue to 8th Avenue, Middleham Circle, Middleham Lane, Park Meadow Court, Park Meadow Drive, Park Meadow Way, posted school zones when children are present, Redfern Drive, 9th Avenue to west to the city limits, Ritter, Cincinnati to Churchman Avenue, Rotherham Circle, Rotherham Lane, Southern Avenue, Bethel to Sherman, Subway Streets, Emerson to North City limits, 13th Avenue, Southern to Alton, Timbrook Circle, Timbrook Lane, 25th Avenue, Albany to Sumner, Valburn Court. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend the Code of Ordinances pursuant to Chapter 77. Now therefore be it further ordained that this amendment shall only apply to the above mentioned ordinance. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 30 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President Pro Tem, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Clerk. Floor is open for questions or comments.
Could he go over those streets one more time?
I wasn't gonna do it. I wasn't gonna do it. I was gonna keep my mouth shut this time.
Chief, you had a chance to view it. Did you have any comment?
I like to
So, this was prompted by residents down on 14th Avenue where it's marked 30 mile an hour from Detroit to Southern. So that prompted a revision. And I think if the old code was correct, any street that wasn't marked is automatically 30 mile an hour. Is that right?
Yep.
So it needed to be adjusted. So, council have any questions? If not, I'll ask for motion to approve General Ordinance Number 18, 2015 on first reading only.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear this on second reading only on September the 8th. Thank you. General Ordinance Number 19, 2015 is up for first reading only. And I'll ask the clerk to read it into the record, please.
General Ordinance Number 19, 2015 is an ordinance that amends the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 153, pursuant to addresses on public buildings and property. Whereas currently addresses are required on the front of a building or house, and whereas building and houses not properly marked could cause problems for public safety departments, and whereas detached garages and other buildings that are accessed off of alleys not having addresses marked could cause problems for public safety departments, and whereas public works employees could provide more responsive services should structures as such be marked from the alley. Therefore, be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 153 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to markings on public buildings and residences. Therefore, be it further ordained that the Common Council desires the following amendment be added to Chapter 153 of the Code of Ordinances. Delete Chapter 153.01, display specifications. Chapter 153.02, responsibility for compliance. Chapter 153.99, penalty, in its entirety and replace with the following. 153.01, display specifications. The house or building numbers assigned to each house or building within the city of Beech Grove shall be prominently displayed on the house or building at a readily visible location in front of the house or building. The numbers shall be black or be of a color that contrasts with the background on which they are displayed. Numbers shall not be spray painted on any buildings or houses. Such numbers shall be a minimum height of 3 inches if placed less than 75 feet from the street curb line. If the house or building number is placed more than 75 feet from the street curb line, the house or building number shall be at least 4 inches in height. The house or building number shall also be displayed in a location readily visible from the alley or drive on garages and outbuildings with alley access. Homes which are set back to the alley and the rear of businesses which have alley or rear drive access, the number shall be no less than 3 inches in height, not less than 6 feet from the floor of said garage, outbuilding, home, or business, and shall be black or be a color that contrasts with the background on which they are displayed. Numbers shall not be spray painted on any buildings or homes. Penalty, see 153.99. 153.02, responsibility for compliance. It shall be the responsibility of the registered owner of the property to comply with all provisions of this chapter relating to the placement, size of any house or building number. Penalty, see 153.99. 153.99, penalty. Any registered property owner in the city of Beech Grove who for 30 days after giving final warning neglects or refuses to place or to maintain the property number on such owned property shall be fined $100 and a further penalty not exceeding $25 per day after 10 calendar days thereafter should the respective property owner not comply. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 153 of the Code of Ordinances for the city of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance only applies to the above mentioned ordinance. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 30 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President Pro Tem, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. We had one person who wanted to speak on 19.
Hi, my name is Carla Richardson. I live at 332 North 14th Avenue. I'll try to keep this really brief if I can. A couple months ago, we had an emergency. We had a cardiac arrest at home. We thought we could make it to the hospital. Got not even down to Albany Street. I live on 14th, and realized we weren't going to make it. So I thought I was being smart, and I pulled into the fire department. No address on the fire department. With our 911 system, everybody knows, they ended up dispatching the wrong location. So I believe Chief has corrected the address, and there's a placard there now and on the fire department, because when I pulled into the garage doors where I saw vehicles, because I assumed that somebody would be there to help me immediately, and there was no way of contacting them because of another whole problem, which I won't go into, but that's being corrected also. So anyway, long story short, 911 could not figure out that I was at the fire department and how to get someone to us. So they told me to leave and go find an address. So I started driving down Albany, and then they told me to pull into an address, so I pulled into the first driveway I found, and it happened to be a garage with no address. I told them I was at 6th and Albany. They said that wasn't good enough. I had to give them an address. So here I am, cardiac arrest. We had just been through it 2 months. I knew what was going on, and I knew no help was on its way. And by that time, you start to panic. So I know better. I know 911 should have been able to get somebody there, but that's what we were told. So I am a huge advocate for this, and I don't see any reason why you guys wouldn't want it. I don't know why homeowners wouldn't want it. I don't know why renters wouldn't want it. It only makes sense to have the police department and the fire department be able to find your house when you need help. The only thing is I have a couple questions about the actual ordinance. It doesn't state in here how the owners are going to be notified that this law is in effect to get it going. So I'd like to know how they're going to even know that you guys have put this on the books to do it in the first place. Then, once there is a warning issued, is that going to be mailed to the owner like you're doing some other ordinances, or how are they going to be notified at that point? Then it says, any registered property owner in the city of Beech Grove who, for 30 days after given final warning, neglects. How many warnings do they get? It doesn't specify how many warnings before a final warning. And then the fine, I personally would like for you guys to reevaluate that. The fine is $100 penalty, and then $25 per day for 10 calendar days if the owner refuses to do it. I want homeowners to do it. I mean, but it's your family, it's your life, you should want to do it. But this shouldn't be a moneymaker. This should just be something to get their attention and make them do it. And I just feel that fine maybe needs to be readjusted a little bit. So, I know Counselor Davidson has been working diligently with some hardware stores and some different local places to maybe try to help with a discount for the owners, and hopefully he'll be able to pull that off. But I'm sure, you can't put a price on your life, so hopefully everybody will do that. But anyway, so I am all for that, but I just would like for you guys to look at some of those other questions and maybe reword it and put some of those added things in there, because I don't see, I see people being able to argue with that, with not knowing how many warnings and stuff like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, there's not an address on the building? We went through there and marked all the buildings.
Yes, there's a address on the front of the building. We've kind of started practicing what we preach when we talk about early access, the chain survival for CPR, and cardiac arrest. We talk about early access, early CPR, early defibrillation, and early ALS care. With our building on Albany Street, we have two entrances. And the West Drive, if you pull in the West Drive, come to the back door, there was a sign that stated, in case of emergency, call 911, where we found there's a failure in the sign itself because we didn't account for out-of-town visitors, people passing through the city, or if you come to that location in an emergency, just not knowing where you're at. So we changed the sign and we put on there, in case of emergency, call 911, and your location is 1202 Albany Street. So we corrected that issue. We had an issue with the doorbells at Station 56 where it wasn't loud enough. It rang in the outside bay area. We put some industrial bells on that door, so if the firefighters are there, they will definitely hear you. We do advocate, if you're in the city and you do have an emergency, please call from your home. You never know if the personnel are going to be out on another run. There's just too many variables where we need to be able to get you help immediately. This call, unfortunately, it was a perfect storm, because we found an issue on our end. The dispatch center had several issues on their end. It was a very tragic mix-up in communication. Unfortunately, it delayed patient care, and our ambulance was able to find the people in need and transport them to St. Francis Hospital. But the areas of correction have been made to our building. to both stations and to dispatch, and hopefully incident like this will not happen again in Beech Grove. But we do implore, if you do have an emergency medical call, please call from your house. Our crews could be at a different run, and it's imperative that we get ALS equipment to your house quickly. If our ambulances are out, in this case, there's a vehicle ambulance sitting in the bay, but it wasn't in service. So that was another problem that we had. Because if you pull up on station, you see vehicles there, you think, oh, someone has to be there. But in this case, the ambulance was out of service, and the engine was on station, but was not able to hear the bell ring. And if they were out on another call, we do have another ALS engine in the city, so if we're out on multiple calls, someone else will be coming into the community. So that's some of the issues that we were dealt with and we worked on correcting.
I think that one of the problems that I always worried about when I was on the fire department was people who lived down on Albany. They would call 911, and downtown would send them to the Albany by Garfield Park, and that happened all the time.
Yes, that is correct. There's several addresses that we are concerned about. Unfortunately, that we haven't had too many mix-ups here in Beech Grove. We've had our guys respond to Albany Street address and the run be actually downtown, and our guys would advise on the radio, hey, this is the wrong address. And unfortunately, it's a delay in patient care, and that's what we definitely try to avoid. But we realized what the issues were and met with the family that had the problems and worked for a solution, had those corrected as soon as possible. It was good that, it was very unfortunate, but it was great that we were able to communicate, bring it to our attention, and fix the problem that we found.
Sure. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I want to ask Derek to come up because this ordinance was brought to us by compliance. So Derek, could you go through the methodology on why you wanted this written?
Sure. We've already heard from our fire department on how important it is for them to be able to get places, or residents to be able to know where they're at when they're driving around. An example of where this also could be a life safety issue for our police department. There was a home over in the Park Grove subdivision last year that had a serious police incident at it. The day before this police incident happened, we had issued them a ticket for not having a proper house number. That night when the police incident happened, officers were confused about which house was the target house. This was a very serious incident that could have resulted in life safety issues for our officers. So them not knowing where they were could have meant life or death for them. In addition, our officers are in the alleys. They're called there quite often for suspicious people, possible thefts to garages and so on. When they're in those alleys, they need to know where they're at. A few of the houses are marked, most are not. So when they're driving down that alley, they got to take a guess which house is number 80, which is number 60, and then try to help out those individuals. Our fire department could be back there looking for a garage fire, which maybe isn't flaming but smoky, and the whole neighborhood's smoked up, so they're not quite sure which garage they need to go to. So these things can help our fire and police departments. Even our DPW workers, if they're back in the alley and they need to gather up some heavy trash and they need to leave a bill for the heavy trash, they need to know which house they're collecting from so that the wrong house isn't accidentally billed. The idea behind most of this text actually comes from La Crosse, Wisconsin. They have a very similar type situation, so it was easy to look and see what they did and use some of that. Some things updated our present text. For instance, we didn't have anything in there about stipulation about what color the number had to be. So there's some houses roaming around where they have a number, but it's exactly the same color as the side of the house. So it just needed to be updated so you can actually see what you're looking at. I heard your question about when it comes to the penalty. and how long it would take. I think what we could probably do is update this to show what we presently do. What I presently have done is when I see a house without a number on it, I send a letter to the owner as well as to the house itself if it's two different people, giving them 30 days. After 30 days, I go back. If that house is still not marked, I send another one out, giving them 10 more days. And then after that 10 days, I issue the ticket. Over the course of the past year, we've issued a total of 11 tickets for this. At least one of them was a landlord issue where they received 3 tickets before they complied. Another one received 2, so we're only looking at maybe 7 or 8 houses that actually received tickets. As of today, I believe a vast majority of our homes have numbers on the front of them. That's because a lot of our citizens have added them since we started this, reminding them. A lot of times it had just fallen off and they'd not noticed, or they had painted their house or got new siding and never put a new number back up. So I believe, I think this is a good thing for our citizens. It'll help our police and fire departments. And I think if we work together with, like Anthony Davison's doing with hardware store, maybe Walmart will kick in and give us some numbers. And perhaps even in the fall, we could look at something with the schools volunteering to go out and help put these up for our folks. Any questions?
Floor is open for questions.
I appreciate the effort that you've put into it, Derek. Great idea, Carla. Too bad it took that to happen, but everything's on the right track, it seems like.
Carla mentioned about thinking the $100 is a moneymaker. I believe it's really an eye-opener for the person to go ahead and get it done instead of passing on.
Right. Presently, our law is the first offense is $15, and then every subsequent offense, which can happen every month, is $25. And I think the times where we've written this for a vast majority have not been a homeowner in the city. It's been a tenant rental issue where the tenant or the renter never came and put the number on the house, especially where it was multiple offenses. It was never the person living in the house. It was the owner who was away and not bothering to do it. If I lived in the house, I think I would put the numbers on myself, but nonetheless, that was the case. It's not about making money. Like I said, we've only written 11 of these tickets in the past year, and relate to only about 7 properties.
Speedway cites you per day, $25.
This says $100
Up to
fine.
the 10 though, right?
And then it says, not exceeding $25 per day for 10 calendar days. So that would be $325.
It's per day.
After 10 days. So you'd get the $100, and then 10 days later would start that $25 daily.
And it doesn't actually say $25, it says not exceeding, so you really don't even know exactly how much it is. But my point on it in asking for that, yes, you're right, you want it to be an impact, but you also want them to do it. I mean, the idea is you want the numbers up there. That's the whole goal, I feel, in this. It's not to punish people, it's just to get it done and save lives.
Which I agree. Our goal is always to be safe and help people. A majority of it. There are some sections of it I did not write.
Any other questions for compliance?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Council, the floor is open for any comments on this.
If you got one more.
Just real quick, Mayor and Council, I do want to state, I want to appreciate and thank the family that came forward. I don't think I expressed it earlier, but the caller was doing everything right. And if you could have heard the frustration in the caller's voice, and knowing that she was doing everything right and trying to get help and not being able to find an address, it was really a very high emotional call, and the caller really kept calm and was doing the right thing. But just the frustration alone, that's something that you really need to think about. And we need to make sure we afford all the citizens of Beech Grove the opportunity to be able to call for help. And again, just want to thank them for bringing that to our attention and helping out tonight. So thank you.
All right. If there's no further questions or comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve general ordinance number 19.
I'd actually like to offer 2 amendments.
Okay.
First amendment is the penalty 153.99 on the second page there. I'd like to amend it to more what Derek does, and I believe I got it right when it's 30 days first warning, and then they get 10 more days, so that's 40 days, I assume, correct?
Right. That's what I presently do, because the law says it has to be off of the house for 40 days presently, so I give it 30 days and then like a final warning just to.
Okay, that's exactly what I'd like to do here is have it read, any registered property owner in the city of Beech Grove who for 40 days from the first warning neglects or refuses to place or to maintain the proper number on such property shall be fined, I'd like to change that to $40, and a further penalty not exceeding $5 per day after 10 calendar days thereafter should the respective property owner not comply. And $40, if you're asking where that number came from, we passed a resolution back in 2013, kind of in line with what the courts do. All other violations, we charge $40. So I'd like to get that right in line too. I mean, moving violations are $75, so our speeding tickets are around that price. So I'd like to get it in line with what we've been doing. And I have another one, so I guess we want to do them separate.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and ask for a motion to amend general ordinance number 19, 2015, prior to first reading.
I'll make said motion.
I'll
Second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Second amendment.
Okay, second amendment. This is just extra wordage, I think, in here. On the first page, 153.01, under display specifications, where the sentence starts, the numbers, it says the numbers shall be black or be of a color that contrasts with the background on which they are displayed. I would like to remove black or be of, so it reads, the numbers shall be a color that contrasts with the background on which they are displayed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes a little bit better sense that way. That's it.
Motion to amend general ordinance number 19, 2015, prior to first reading.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. General ordinance number 19, 2015 is up for approval on first reading with 2 amendments. This time I'll ask for a motion
The
to,
only other conversation I have before you get there is how are we notifying the owners? Well, you do have a process that the owner gets a letter, not just the resident, but the owner gets a letter. So that's already, do we need to have that written in?
John, here's the problem I got with that.
That's a yes or no, so we don't have any more?
No, I think it's-
Okay, good. I recommend we pass on first reading.
need a second.
I'll second. But thank you, Craig. I just want a yes or no.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear this on second reading at the September the 8th meeting. General ordinance number 20, 2015 is up for first reading only this evening. At this time, I'll defer to the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
General ordinance number 2015 is an ordinance that amends chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances concerning streets and stop streets. Whereas 4th Street runs north and intersects with Bethel Avenue, which is a major street leading into and out of Beech Grove, And whereas the intersections of 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th all have three-way stops, and whereas residents in the area of 4th and Buffalo have approached the city requesting the intersection of 4th and Buffalo be converted to a three-way stop. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to street and stop streets. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires the following amendments be included in Chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Amend Chapter 77, Schedule 2 through streets and stop streets. 4th and Buffalo, change from a two-way stop to the following: three-way stop eastbound and westbound Buffalo and northbound 4th Avenue. 4th and Bethel, change from stop sign with B4th to northbound 4th. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance only applies to Chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 30 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President Pro Tem, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. The resident who requested this ordinance is here tonight. Mac, would you like to address the council briefly on it, please?
Yes, yes. My name is Mac Bellner, and I live at 4th and Buffalo. And whereas I realize that it's probably a great treat for some people to be able to turn off of Albany onto 4th and zip down to Bethel, we wish that wouldn't happen. There are lots of children in the area, and we have seen that happen so many times. We watch it from our front porch. That stop sign would make such a difference on our street with getting people to abide by the speed limits that we have, and now we're going to have even better speed limits, I think. But a stop sign is just desperately needed at right there on 4th, headed north, crossing Buffalo. So I'm just hugely in favor of this, and I know that everyone else on our 2 blocks there that I've talked to over the last year or so feels the exact same way. We really would like to see that stop sign go there. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Floor is open for questions or comments.
What do you think, Chief?
I'd have to look at it a little bit different. I don't think it's going to slow anybody down, but I think that it would make safe area that people stop. Cars park there, and it's harder to see looking to the right or left, which is southbound. So I think it's a good idea to have the stop sign.
Short and concise. Thank you, Chief.
There's no questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve General Ordinance Number 20, 2015 on first reading only.
I'll make
Said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We'll hear it on second reading only at September the 8th meeting. That concludes old business for this evening. Council comments beginning on my far right. Dave?
No comment, just thank everybody that showed up tonight.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
School's back in session. That means I'm taking my grandson to school.
170 kids.
Anthony?
Actually, I have a little list here, sorry. I would just like to point out, we passed ordinance 14, which is the allocation there. And regarding the security gate, I would like to see us possibly working with IMPD on that as well, and to make sure they have access, because they're supposed to have, due to, I think it's the breathalyzer in there, they're supposed to, they're required to have access to that. So I want to make sure that it won't take one of our officers if, in fact, a IMPD officer needs access back in there.
There would be a keypad that the patrol could.
Oh, it's, okay.
There will be
Okay, my misunderstanding. I thought it was going to be a card type deal. Okay. Good. Clears that then. Next, I think that also on that, I think it's important that we stick with the actual list that was generated by the mayor. There's 7 things on here. Unlike the $2 million bond that we passed, we need to actually stick with that and not go above and beyond that issue. I'd also like to, I know it's tomorrow, but I'd still like to send a shout out for National Night Out. It's at the Moose from 5:30 to 8, and maybe the chief will get in the dunk tank. One of them, anyway. So it should be a good time. I know I was out last year, and my kids thoroughly enjoyed it. Also, I'd like to thank the residents that came on Glengyle, and happy we were able to get that situation knocked out, and hopefully that'll alleviate the problem as well. And also like to thank Carla Richardson for sharing her story. I know it's never, it's difficult to talk about, what had happened, and I apologize that it happened that way, but I think that we've fixed it, at least on our end. I can't speak for dispatch downtown. But thank you for sharing that story. And that's it, believe it or not.
Good.
Well, thank you for all coming, and I understand we're the budget committee, or your department heads are going to be meeting Thursday. Our council people this year has agreed to do it again, Councilman Harrison and Davison. So once we get it all organized with the department heads, we'll start meeting with you individually. So thank you. That's all I have.
Just thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate it a lot. That's all.
Anthony, could you send me the First Amendment of that ordinance?
Yeah.
Copy of it for me.
I will email it to you.
The council, for your information, you guys, we will meet again on Tuesday, September the 8th. September the 7th is Labor Day. We will not meet. We will meet here in these chambers on September the 8th for a regular meeting. On Monday, September the 14th, we will meet in these chambers at 7 p.m. and the agenda will be strictly budget for 2016. We will have a public hearing and salary ordinance and budget on first reading. And then on October the 3rd, we will meet again on second and third reading of the budget and the salary ordinance for 2016. So that will be the schedule. So
Will the third be a combination, regular council meeting and budget?
yes. Yes.
Okay.
Tomorrow is a public update on St. Francis at 7 o'clock in these chambers. So with that, motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
The meeting is adjourned, 8:23 p.m. Thank you very much.